Hey there, David Duford at davidduford.com, where I help insurance agents like you become top producers. We are continuing our 6-part video series on how to master your final expense sales presentation. So the last video we talked about rapport and building trust and developing a proper introductory statement. Today we're going to talk about pre-qualifying and fact-finding. This is really, bottom line, the secret to becoming an advanced level, highly productive final expense agent. No, it is not about how many closes you know or how aggressive you are at rebuttaling objections. In fact, the intelligent, savvy, and most productive final expense agents become masters at asking powerful and even tough questions early on in the sales call to determine if the lead you're working is a qualified prospect or an unqualified suspect. You see, much of what you can make out of a sales call selling final expense can be determined within the first 5 to 10 minutes once you transition from breaking the ice, building rapport, establishing who you are, and then figuring out whether or not your prospect fits the determinants of whether or not there's somebody who meets the criteria of whether they're going to be a buyer or not. And that's a big lesson with pre-qualifying. You see, you have to turn the mentality behind around on how you look at running a sales call. We look at ourselves as unwelcome pests. We're begging for business. We're hoping they'll do anything to give us their money. And there's this kind of like demand on us psychologically to lower ourselves in stature to the prospect. We do not want to do that. In fact, you should at least equate, if not elevate yourself, and think of yourself as a physician or a white-collar professional. And what they do is they dictate the terms of the kind of clients that they want. Financial planners are really good at this. A lot of them have minimums on how much their portfolio is worth before they'll take or consider taking them on. And again, a key word is consider. There's almost like an application process, and what shifts is you have to jump hoops as the prospect to do business with that particular person. And the point is I want you to carry this mindset into pre-qualifying because it turns the tables around. It allows you, the agent, to determine if the prospect is worthy of doing business with you. And I don't mean that in some like egotistical way, but we mean it because we don't want to waste our time because that's the most precious commodity we have as salespeople with people who have a low odds of buying. So how and what criteria do I use when I work final expense leads to determine if they're somebody that has a high odds of doing business with me or not? Well, it comes down to 5 different factors: need, want, health, bank, and budget. I want to know if somebody needs a final expense plan and thus wants it badly. And we ask specific questions to get at that, such as, what were your thoughts and concerns when you sent the card in? That is the most powerful question you need to ask every time that you work a lead. If you don't work direct mail leads, what caused you to request information on Facebook about this program or telemarketed, whatever. Just use the same phrase but change out the words and it's the concept that sells and does a good job. And from that, you'll determine desire and need and want pretty quickly. You'll need to know how their health is so you know what product to sell. Most of us have access to plans that will underwrite in any circumstance, such as guaranteed issue carrier. So that's less of a concern, but you need to have a particular process in asking these questions so you can keep good notes and pick the right carriers. And then you need to always make sure that you're dealing with somebody who has a bank account that will, in fact, allow you to draft it, because if they won't allow you to draft it, it drops the chances precipitously that they're actually going to do any business with you. And then you need to know what their budget is. You see, I sell the premium. What that means is that I pre-qualify and budget before I proceed to sell the policy. I want to know my client, simply put, has the money to afford whatever it is that I'm selling. And I'd rather know that now, or at least 10 to 15 minutes into the presentation, than 30, 40, 50 minutes into the presentation where I've exhausted a lot of my time, effort, and energy in a prospect that ultimately just doesn't want it, doesn't want to spend the money, and then we get into an argument and waste time. So you have to determine a script to come up with all this information as quickly as humanly possible and in a polite way that's not going to bother the client. And that's what I've developed in my final expense sales presentation approach. It works like magic. It's not magic. It's just a good sequence of questions that you ask to determine, okay, should I proceed to the next step of actually selling them on the policy that I offer because I feel like there's a pretty high odds that they meet every portion of the criteria and they're probably going to buy, versus oh, they don't have a bank account. Well, Dave says that it's pretty much an uphill battle. Let's just end the call if we can't get money in a form of a quarterly payment. Or, oh, they don't really have a need for it. Then I know that if I spend the next 30 minutes here trying to develop a need, I'm probably going to end up short. And that's going to depend, of course. There's details I'm leaving out for the sake of brevity on this video. But you get the idea. The key is they're either completely qualified, or if there's one thing that's missing, they're not a qualified prospect. And really, the best thing you can do in most circumstances is pack up, leave, and go to the next sales call and see if that person is going to be a qualified prospect. So this, again, is an overview of how I teach agents how to sell. It's a low-key approach. It gives you all the facts up front so that you're spending your time with the best of the best leads and ending as quickly and as courteously as possible with those that just won't go anywhere based off of statistics of them not meeting the basic criteria. And if you'd like to learn how to implement this and all the other details I've left out, you can do this by working with me or joining what's called my Insurance Agent Inner Circle program. You can find out more about these programs and how each works and which one will work best for you by going to davidduford.com. Click either link at the top of the screen in the menu. You'll see them both, and it will explain in video format how each program works. Do make sure that you subscribe, like the video, and comment below if you haven't already. And thank you so much again for watching. David Duford at davidduford.com, logging out. See you next time. Bye.